Hello, YouTube. All right, I want to give you guys a quick update on here on what's going on with my situation, as well as with Bill and my backyard neighbor that I evicted. I'll try to summarize real quick. As many people have predicted, many viewers have predicted, the backyard people, the ones that I had living in my RV in my backyard, would be a problem. And we're happy that they were gone, but it turns out that even though they're gone, there's still a problem. Basically, after I booted the guy out, you know, because he couldn't keep his word and do what he said he would do, he cussed me out and started to make threats and stuff, and I ended up having to get the police, and he left, okay, before the police showed up. Then he texted me telling me never ever to never contact him again or anything. Cussed me out and said I was this evil, bad person and blah, 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 blah. And I was going to block his number, but left it open just in case, you know, something came up that he needed. You know, like maybe some stuff he ordered or whatever in the mail, whatever showed up, I would get it to him. So I left the line open, even though I didn't contact him per his request. Then, this past weekend, I get a really nasty text from him again saying that, you know, he went and talked to his lawyer, and they're going to be suing me and stuff for wrongful eviction and all this other stuff. So at that point, I went ahead and blocked it, even though, yeah, I don't think the lawsuit's going to go anywhere. They haven't filed anything, but I don't think they're going to file anything, because if he really wants to hire the lawyer's going to want his money up front, and the dude doesn't have money to pay him, or even if he did, he won't pay him. But also, there was never a lease, there was never anything. You know, I let them stay for 2 weeks for free. I didn't even get a penny from them. As a matter of fact, they cost me about $300-400 in damages. So, you know, for the property damages and stuff. So you know, I pretty much shrugged that off. I went ahead and then blocked his number, and that's pretty much it. You know, won't lift another finger to help him. So, as far as I'm concerned, that story is over, unless, you know, they do serve me and want to take me to court or whatever. But there's nothing to gain. I'm not a rich person. I'm a janitor. And, you know, I live in a house that I bought really cheap as a tax deed house. And I was being kind to him, and this is how he thanks me. So, you know, I don't think he would win even if we went to court. But I also got a message this weekend from some woman, and it turns out, you know, that this woman, I called the number she left on my message. I called her and found out she is Bill's sister. Yeah, I'm like, what the? Bill has a sister? How come I didn't know Bill had a sister? So it turns out that Bill and his sister do not get along. Okay? They never talked all their adult life and stuff. They've been upset with each other over I don't know what, but they just don't get along. And the sister and her husband got on the phone with me, and we talked for more than an hour. And between their conversation and mine, we were able to fill in all the blanks on what happened and everything that's transpired since Bill had his stroke in like 2011, 2012. Because that's when everything occurred. So, the sister was able to fill me in on things that I had to guess, that some of it I guessed correctly, some of it I guessed incorrectly, and some of it that I couldn't understand now is clear. And it kind of changes the equation. Now, my first thought was, you know, I was a bit angry that the sister and her husband didn't help Bill, that they kind of just left him like this. And, you know, they even mentioned that when they went to check on Bill here, the last time they saw him was about 8 months ago or so. I guess that's when they all left him. And then he reached out to me for help. And they went back, and they were surprised he was still alive. Yeah, he was still alive because I jumped in there and held him up this whole time. You know, I'm the one who took him to the hospital, got him into Medicaid, Medicare, and got him a neurologist, a cardiologist, and all the other stuff you have to do for elders, because they can't do it themselves, especially if they're paralyzed and can't talk. So anyhow, and the reason we've been able to do all this is because I pretty much did everything for free. I did things out of pocket using my own money to take care of Bill. My wife went over there when he didn't have a CNA and took care of him for free. You know, bathed him, did everything. So that's why Bill's still here. But the problem is, you know, I explained to the sister, his money's like running out, and with $700, to use $700 to try to get him a place to stay, as well as provide daycare, you know, daily care like assisted living, and also pay for his food and his cigarettes and marijuana. I mean, you know, all that stuff, the medical marijuana. I can't do it on $700. It's a miracle. I can't do it. I'm not a miracle maker. And, you know, I'm trying to get her and her husband to try to step in and take care of Bill, but they won't. You know, they're saying they have all sorts of health issues, and there's all sorts of other stuff that can occur, legal bombs, which I'm aware of, but, you know, they don't want to put themselves in it, because evidently it already started on the other end when all this first happened with Bill getting the stroke. Well, let's jump back to 2011, 2012, which is when Bill got the stroke, okay? His now ex-wife cut Bill off from everybody, so nobody had access to Bill. You know, I tried to reach out to him when I heard he had the stroke and was denied access to Bill. Nobody else had access because she said only immediate family. And the reason she did that was she was already planning on divorcing him and wanted to have everything go through without any interference. So she moved in. This is like some weird, bad soap opera. She actually moved in with one of Bill's sales associates, you know, one of his employees. And the guy, I'm not going to say much, but he's not an upstanding guy, and he's not even, you know, I won't say more than that, but, so it's kind of shocking for me that she would pick him. You know, she had I think she has a master's degree that she earned, you know, she earned her bachelor's and master's, and she was living with Bill because he took care of her and paid for her schooling and everything. And then to reward him with dumping them and running off with one of his sales associates, one of his employees, right after he had the stroke. That was the reward he got from her. So she sold, you know, I mean, dumped all the inventory in the store, closed the shop, and ran off and left Bill isolated. Bill's father stepped in and took him up to Jacksonville, and then I think they moved down to Melbourne, all of them, for a while. But the mother got ill, Bill's mother, and had to be put in assisted living, and the father was ill and going into assisted living, as well as, I think, an uncle. So it got really expensive, everybody having to go to assisted living, which is super, super expensive in Florida. So I think it's super expensive everywhere, but Florida ranks up there, okay? Not the highest, but one of the higher ones. So anyhow, Bill, I told you Bill's a difficult character, okay? He likes to do things his way and wants it the way he wants it, and is willing to do stuff like bad things to make a situation develop the way he wants. And what had happened after the divorce, but you know, I couldn't tell by the court records, but Bill's sister was able to explain to me was the money that Bill was getting that I thought was child support, that Bill told me was child support, it's not child support. This is what actually went down. When Bill got divorced from his ex-wife, because Bill was paralyzed, he didn't have custody of the children. So the children went to the ex-wife, and even though Bill was paralyzed and had no money and no job, okay, at this point, the court ordered him to pay child support for 2 kids, which came to roughly $650 a month, which is what they were charging at the time for people who were unemployed. Like I had to pay $650. I had to pay like $665 or something like that a month for my kids. But if you're unemployed, they calculate that amount. Okay, that you would get that. I think it's calculated like minimum wage or something like that, or $10 an hour or something. They say, well, even if you're unemployed, they're going to charge you the minimum as if you were working for $10 an hour for 40 hours a week. That's how Florida works. So they were charging Bill child support of $650 a month. And you're like, so then how does Bill get child support right now? And on his statement that you're saying, it turns out that Remember all that time that Bill spent and money that Bill spent taking care of his ex-wife so that she could go to college, get her master's? You know, she got her bachelor's and her master's. Okay? He took care of her and the children and stuff for all that time. She now has to pay him alimony. So, the court ordered her to pay him like $900 or so a month alimony. And then what they did was they took the $650 or so out each month from the alimony for Bill to pay her back to pay child support. So that's what was happening. The court ordered her to pay him $900. Then they took out $650 and gave it back to her for child support. And of course the state takes their cut through all this. Every time you're ordered to do stuff, the state charges a service fee. Convenience fee. So that's what was going on. So that went on and on and on and on until the children start to reach 18 years old, which is over the last couple of years. And I'm like, why the heck did Bill suddenly decide to move from Jacksonville all the way back to Melbourne? It makes no sense. Unless somebody said they were going to help him, which now it does make sense. As the children grew up, Bill didn't have to pay child support anymore. That meant the ex-wife had to pay him the full amount of the alimony. She would pay the alimony and not get any money back from Bill for child support. So that meant every month she had $650 or whatever more that she had to pay to Bill because she was no longer getting that money back from Bill. And that explains how that money is there, which comes directly to my situation with trying to get Bill to live on $700 a month. So instead of just $700 a month, I now have access, or Bill has access to about $1,600 a month, which still is going to be impossible to get him, assisted living, unless I do some creative financing, which is what I'm about to try to do and propose to Bill and see what he says about it. But now, almost the budget to take care of Bill has doubled. And it changes things around now. Because instead of $700, which isn't even enough for rent for one apartment, I now have $1,600 potential, but really you don't want to use up that full amount because he's got to cover all his bills and stuff. I'm going to try to take that money, and instead of making Bill go broke with his existing money, what he had in savings that I was going to wipe out to try to buy a junky mobile home for him and set all this up, which would be the kind of place that you get for what he has might not be the best. It might be on a bad side of town, or and if I got a tax deed home, it could look like what my house looked like. If you guys saw those videos of me buying my tax deed home with dog poo and everything everywhere, it would look like that. And then I'd have to do all that work to convert it and get it ready and stuff, and it would be bad. But with a budget of $1,600 that Bill gets as income, if you want to call it that, every month, I might be able to do something with that to get him a nicer apartment, or not even necessarily nicer, but an apartment with hopefully 3 bedrooms. But in my search so far, 3 bedrooms are rare, and they tend to run $2,000 or more a month, which means out of the budget for Bill. So we might be stuck with a 2-bedroom, which I'm not happy with, but I can still possibly get him, look and keep trying to get him a 3-bedroom, but if I can't, I'm going to have to settle for 2-bedroom. And the reason for trying to get the 2-bedroom apartment, you're like, well, how's that going to help the situation? What I'm trying to do is set up a system that will run indefinitely, that will run until Bill no longer needs it. And it has to fit the money coming in. Now, he'll get the $900 alimony a month as long as his ex-wife isn't dead or stops paying for some reason. So if she dies or stops paying for whatever reason, it will become a problem again. But it may not, depending on how long Bill lives. But trying to look at the best possible scenario for Bill this might be the best thing to do, is to try to get him into another apartment, because then you don't have to worry about the yard maintenance and all that, and even repairs. The apartment will handle that, the complex, their maintenance crew. But I want to try to get a 2 or 3 bedroom, because I want spare bedrooms that I'm going to use as collateral to hire home health care for Bill. The plan is to use the extra room or rooms to get people that I will screen, you know, to make sure they're legitimate and they're good, and they're going to be able to do what they need to do to take care of Bill pretty much 7 days a week. Now, it's not going to be 24/7 care, because I want to be fair to the people helping Bill. And the reason I wanted two extra bedrooms, like a 3-bedroom apartment, was I wanted 2 people helping Bill. The reason is, like I said, Bill is difficult, and anyone that has to work with Bill 24/7 or 7 days a week might quit real fast. I'm trying to make it so that whoever's helping Bill only has to work for like 1.5 to 2 hours a day. All they have to do is bathe him and check his blood pressure, make sure he takes his meds, and just monitor him. And if, you know, if anything's needed, contact me or whoever ends up being designated in the spot to be the, you know, the medical contact and everything else. So that's what the plan is. And then occasionally they should, you know, be able to take him, well, they could call like some services to pick him up, if I think he might qualify for that, to the hospital and things like that, if he needs to run to the hospital. But basically, he needs able-bodied people to take care of him, and by having 2 of them with, you know, only having to work 2 hours a day or less, you know, they could alternate. They could take turns, however many days one person wants to work, and then, you know, after the 2 hours are done, they're free. They can go take another job somewhere, and that way they get free rent, and you know, they don't have to pay for the rent or utilities and stuff. That will all be covered by Bill's money, and they have a free place to live, and they can work full time, and they can even take vacations and stuff if I had 2 people, because then they can alternate, plan it out themselves. Otherwise, I might only have to do with 1 person, but with 1 person, I run the risk of them getting tired and getting worn out by working with Bill every day, and they might quit. You know, they might say, screw that, this free rent isn't worth it. But if you have 2 of them, it's manageable, because you could alternate days. You could have 1 person work 3 days, and then the other person work 4, and then shift it, you work 4, and the other person works 4. Or you could have 1 person do 1 week, and another person do another week, you know, or whatever. Whatever they decide, I don't care about the schedule, but Bill needs to be bathed every day. He needs to be monitored every day, blood pressure and medication and everything. And, you know, if there's anything weird, I or whoever's in charge of overseeing Bill's health and his situation need to be contacted right away. We want a situation where Bill's laying there falling down in the bathroom and nobody knows about it for days or weeks. You know, by having people there with him, we're trying to avoid that. So I'm still trying to negotiate to get the sister and her husband to step in, because they are blood relative. Well, the sister's blood relative, but you know, I guess the fight between Bill and her, their disagreements or whatever, you know, makes it hard. But there's also a complication, because his ex-wife, this is how Bill ended up back in Melbourne. So when the money, you know, that she was paying for alimony jumped up, because they stopped deducting child support, you know, Bill paying her child support out of that money, she and her son or whatever contacted Bill while he was in Jacksonville and told them if he moved to Melbourne, they would take care of him. They would, you know, put him up and take real good care of him, make sure he got medical attention and all this other good stuff. So as soon as Bill moved here to Melbourne, they didn't. That's why Bill was so angry with his son, you know, because they all said that they would help him, and when he got here, they didn't help. They just left him. And so he's been left on his own. That's how he ended up abandoned. And, you know, the fact that his father died and stuff. And the sister didn't want to jump in, because the ex-wife, while all this was going on, when all this stuff went down, she tried to sue everybody, took them to court, and kept saying elderly abuse, and called DCF, and you know, that's, I know a lot of you saw that as a danger. Don't believe me, I know, you know. That's why I really don't want to be involved with this, but I really don't have a choice. I mean, I do, but I don't want to make that choice, you know. I don't want to do it to my friend Bill. So that's where we're at. Now with the new information, I think I can work out I'm hoping I can work out an acceptable plan for Bill, which is to get an apartment and then have it so it's kind of self-contained as far as using the funds for the apartment to pay for the nursing, you know, the home care. And then just try to work on Bill's budget to make it so that he doesn't blow through his money. So the plan would be to use the money that he gets from disability and from alimony to cover the apartment fees, the rental as well as utilities, and then any additional fees he's living off savings. Might be doable. So I'm going to run it by Bill, let him know the plan, the new plan, and see if he finds it acceptable. And if he does, that's going to be the route we're going to go, because I think it would be the most stable one, you know, unless something happens to his ex-wife. Don't know. And even if we go the other route, there's all sorts of other, every which way you go, there's always some kind of obstacle. There's always some kind of landmine that you can hit. So, you know, I'm looking at this. If there may be even more landmines here, you know, like trying to get Bill accepted. But I can show that he's currently paying for the apartment he's in. He's been here paying for himself for a year and a half. You know, I might even try to get the same apartment complex and see if they have a 2-bedroom available, and we'll do it for a discount or something. Otherwise, we're moving. So we'll see how good my negotiation skills are, and if they are good, I'll let you know. Until next time, everyone, take care. God bless you all. Stay safe. Bye-bye now.